I have to talk again about people wanting to get readings from psychics. That's where I get a lot of people calling, and I'm not a good psychic for that reason, because what psychics try to do is make people feel better and make them feel safe by predicting a happy future or some workarounds for what looks like, quote, a bad future. When people go to see a psychic, they always go to see a psychic when they're scared. One time I had a couple just got married and they wanted like a newlywed reading because they wanted to know how amazing their marriage was going to be. Which said to me, they're scared their marriage is not going to be amazing, so they needed a psychic to weave a story for them. So if you're scared and you're getting external reassurance, I can see that once in a while. We need some help. We need a quick answer. But if, for example, I tell you that you're going to be at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro in a year, and you're all excited. Wow, we're going to be on the top of that mountain. It's going to be amazing. But how do you get there? The road is hard and treacherous with a ton of weather. You need gear, you need equipment. And by the time you get to the top, you're going to be a completely different person because 4 of your team is going to die and you're going to barely make it. And then once you get up there, you still have to survive and get back down. But all you think about is, no, I'm getting up to the top of the mountain. It's going to be amazing. So you're not toughening up. You're not getting the gear. You're not using your intuition and your skill set to make the journey. You're just waiting to be transported to the end, to the outcome. And this is very much the capitalist society. What are you going to get? Not the journey. How are you getting there? What's the journey going to cost you? The other part, too, is that now when you get to the top of the mountain that you were told you were going to get to, you're going to be looking for all the things the psychic told you you're going to get. And you're going to miss all the other things that are really important to you. Imagine going to a movie where someone told you the story and described the costumes and everything was going to happen. Now you watch the movie to see if that person was right. Did they describe everything? Are the costumes the same? Is the male lead really sexy as was said? And you have no experience of the movie yourself. All you're doing is trying to validate what you were told. And this is what happened with a lot of psychic readings. To me, the big journey is we want to learn to stop being scared of the universe, scared of our life. When we're little, we hang on to mom and dad, if we're lucky. Sometimes we don't have a mom and dad. Sometimes we don't have a good mom or dad. If we do have a good mom or dad, we learn to internalize that sense of security, that sense that there is something there to hang on to. For a person who either goes to therapy or is on a spiritual path, a good one, or a combination, which is my preference, psychology and spirituality, you learn to internalize that mom and dad, that safe yin and yang energy. You start to feel safe with yourself. So like a surfer, you're out there on your board. The universe is the ocean. We can't control the ocean, but we sure can learn how to surf and how to survive surfing and how to have fun with it and how to have a good board and how to get in shape so we can surf and what to do when the surf isn't up. So I see spiritual people, awakened people, centered people as being able to surf life. There are people who can handle hearing about the future. There have been a few people who have enough meditation under their belt that they get detached from always wanting to know what they're going to get, what's going to be given to them that's going to take away their fear. I can say to somebody, your husband will be dead in 1.5 years, and it doesn't ruin their life, and they love their husband. I've said to people, your marriage will be good for 8 years. I myself am very good at reading myself. Not when the big changes come, but little things like, is this person going to be in my life for a long time? And the answer comes back, no. That doesn't mean that I end the relationship because I'm not going to get what I want. It means I switch from this is a long-term relationship to this is short-term learning relationship. And we go from being scared to being curious. So when people contact me and tell me they can handle the future, I already know they can't. Because I can read the energy of the person. If they really can handle looking at something from a learning perspective instead of what am I going to get perspective. And this is why I find psychic readings a little dangerous, because they perpetuate cultivating fear and anxiety and using external crutches to manage fear and anxiety and lack of faith in the self. And if we have lack of faith in the self, we don't trust the universe either. Only by being centered and secure in myself can I receive the great teachings of Spirit, Source, the universe, Jesus, Muhammad, Allah, whoever you work with, whatever you call your connections. So when people come to me for readings, what I want to talk to them about is what they need to do to get prepared for what's coming. Like meeting with a tour guide before you're going to climb the mountain. But then you still have to climb the mountain. The tour guide can get you prepared, but you still have to do all the work. The tour guide can tell you, don't take this trail, it's dangerous. But they can't tell you you're going to get to the top, you will have lost 10 pounds, you'll have $4,000 in your pocket, and there'll be a husband or a wife waiting for you at the top of the mountain. That's not what this journey in life is about. Now, yes, if your loved one is dying of cancer, and you've just lost your cookies about that, which is completely reasonable. Yes, it might help to talk to a psychic about what to do or what the outcome is, or when it's time to put a pet down. Or maybe you want to check that your perceptions of your boss are accurate. Or maybe you want to check if your friend is really being a creep behind your back because you're feeling that vibe. So I like psychic readings to get a lot of validation for your own intuition, that you hear what's going on from someone else and it matches your vibe that nobody else is picking up. I totally understand that, and I get that. But that's now we're looking for education, learning, and curiosity, not outcomes, not what am I going to get. If I tell you, oh, you're living with your aunt and you're not sure if you want to continue living with her and you're scared and what should I do? And I say, oh, she's going to be dead in 8 months, but don't worry, everything's going to be okay and you'll have a new job and, you'll be moving down the street or in the same neighborhood, you'll be in the same area, and all be fine. Okay, that's a little bit like taking a Valium. That could help. But that in no way talks to you about what you need to do to prepare to go through that experience. Just like, what do you need to prepare to climb the mountain or to go surfing? What gear do you need? What shape do you need to get in? What dangers do you need to look out for? What are the cool things that you might want to pay attention to? So it's not so much the psychic. It is the person asking the questions. What is your real intention? When people are scared, I can reassure them if there's some good news around the corner. But that can't take away the learning. They still have to figure out what to do next so that they build faith in themselves, not faith in me. If there's a hard time coming around the corner, very often I'll hear from people, that was depressing, or I didn't like that reading. It's like saying, I give you a surf report for surfing and you go, I don't like that report. Well, it's a weather report. It's not a question whether you like it or not. It just is. So if you're looking for a psychic to tell you what you want to hear, what you like to hear, and you're about to give a review on that, I would say better to go to a psychic hotline, California Psychic, Psychic Access, etc., and get that kind of mechanical reading. And also, those are people who are trained to handle themselves in a way that will encourage repeat customers for business. I hate to be so straightforward about all of this. This is the non-magical, non-mystical part of doing spiritual work. Most people do well with someone like me when they're looking to equip themselves so they can live a better life long term. So I'm more like a personal trainer who will help you lose weight and get in shape so that you enjoy your life more, you have better sex, perhaps you attract a better mate, your clothes look nicer on you, and you're not going to the doctor all the time. And your emotional health is in shape, so you're not overeating anymore and self-medicating with food or alcohol or anything else. So a lot of times people go to psychics because they don't want a personal trainer. They don't go to therapists because they know with therapy, you actually have to do some work. But the thought is with a psychic, they're just telling me, what's going to happen so I can relax and not do anything so things will happen, or I can scramble to try to avoid the so-called bad thing that's coming my way. Without a spiritual practice, you're operating from good and bad rather than from growth and curiosity. If I tell someone, you're going to have a car accident, and while you're in the hospital for 8 months, you're going to meet an incredible doctor, and that's going to become your mate. But what people will hear is, I'm going to be in an accident. That's horrible. I don't want that. Why can't I just meet the doctor? Because you didn't design your life like that. You designed your life to grow, learn, and evolve. And life is ultimately your teacher. Your life path is your teacher. Whether you take the path that's well lit with solar lamps by cultivating yourself, getting strong and intuitive and trusting in your ability to get through everything you set up for yourself. And we do not set up punishing lives to punish ourselves for horrible past lives. That is Christian-based nonsense. It is not true. It's not how it works. So the idea is, I want to trust me. So whatever's coming, I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I maybe need to get some more friends around me though, or I need to start sleeping better, or sometimes I'll tell people a lot of success is coming. To me, I would start reading books on how do you handle success? How do you handle money? How do you handle friendships? What do you do when everybody wants a piece of you? What do you do with the pressures of a promotion? Like, educate yourself about it. Just on the 3D world. And then you have more room for the energetic changes to occur. I guess what I'm trying to say is psychic readings are not a spiritual path. A spiritual path can include psychic readings, but it's a very small part. The idea is at some point you don't need psychic readings. You already have a sense of what's happening, what's going to happen, and what's coming, both good and bad in the 3D terms. And after a while, it's not so much good and bad. It's what am I learning? In every situation, what am I learning? And in that process, there's a lot more room for joy and happiness and fun and contentment and mischievousness and exploration and adventure, instead of always living from what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What do I need to do? Is it going to get better? Remember that every situation has pros and cons. You get married, there's so many problems. You're single, there's so many problems. They're just different problems. You get promoted, you get a lot of money, so many problems. I can't even tell you. You're struggling without housing, so many problems. So instead of when am I going to get there? When is the situation going to be right so I don't have any more problems and I don't feel afraid? We want to get to the place of I feel really comfortable, solid, and secure with my connection to myself, and therefore that spiritual guidance will come into me and I will be able to receive it because I have trained myself to receive it even in times of uncertainty. I hope this helps. I'm not sure if it will because this is all words. The majority of my work has to do with energy. And being on social media is simply a way to get known. And honestly, it's marketing. When I was younger, there was no marketing. I found teachers through bizarre, mystical circumstances. Everybody I knew did that. I remember hearing the story of Brant Secunda, the Dance of the Deer Foundation. He was young, maybe a teenager still, and he just had this idea that he was going to find Indians. And he took a watermelon and a small bottle of water and went out into the desert in Mexico. And I think within a day collapsed and woke up with a bunch of Huichol indigenous citizens staring down at him, laughing at him, making fun of him. And he said, "How did you find me?" And they said, "Our shaman told us you would be here." And then his training was doing things like he was told to take a feather and crawl under one of the huts, because the huts were built up on stilts, not high, like 4 feet, 3 feet, and stay under that hut until he got a vision. It was not exotic. It was not, a hotel and chanting and oils and massages and a shaman taking you through a wonderful ceremony. That's the school that I was raised in, that my teacher was raised in. Times may have changed. Maybe not, though. So to me, I'm more interested in helping people get on a spiritual path where you learn to get some detachment from this world and get more invested in your soul evolution, your eternal energy that continues on after you shed this body. And whether you're under a hut with a feather in 110-degree weather for 3 weeks, or simply going through silent meditation and having so many energies come up, some of which are very uncomfortable. Either way, that is part of the spiritual journey, because shedding things takes a bit. Getting things is something else. That is the mythology of the 3D world. I primarily work with energy. Readings are on the side. They're helpful. They're not that helpful. They are good for, a map. If you're getting from here to there, I'm going from here to there. What's the road like? And I tell you, it's got to be really bumpy, bring some extra water. There's a good chance your car is going to break down in the middle and you're going to get there a little late. But you already know where you're going. But coming to me for a reading that says, I'm scared, I don't know where I'm going, what's going to happen, and you're asking for something to make you less scared, I cannot give you an external answer. Come here, Pia, come. Because no external answer is going to take away your fear unless I fabricate a story for you until I feel your energy gets further subdued. Like, it's all going to be okay and don't worry and you're going to meet somebody and you're going to have money, and if that's true, great. But if it's not, to me it's like, giving someone a Valium, and sometimes I guess you have to. But I don't do that. I can't do that. It's not my path, I guess. I hope this makes things a little clearer, and it will explain why my business will never be big, and never has, and my teacher's business is not big, and my original spiritual parents in the 70s, when I was in my 20s and they were in their 70s, was not big. Because this is not for everybody, not commercial, doesn't have fine hotels, and promise you wonderful experiences. It's just more for people who have a sense that they really know what's out there and what's inside of them, and they need to be with someone or in groups of someone, with other like-minded people who are interested in unlocking the mysteries of this lifetime. I hope this helps. I keep trying, but it's just words, Free introductory session, best thing to try. Come to one of the groups. You can come one time. You hate it, you threw away $45, no big deal. You like it, sign up for more. The groups are energy. The groups are not talking. Okay.